Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be so much fun. We are transforming this modern style, very simple planter into this very rustic, found, aged looking stone planter. These planters are so on trend right now. We are seeing them all over. So I wanted to do a DIY and show you how to get the look for less. So I went to Home Depot and found this planter. It really caught my eye. I really liked the shape and the simplicity of this. It's very, very heavy. I believe it's a ceramic and very, very simple. I like that it's just a really, really clean. I feel like the price point was pretty good for $44. I could probably do this whole DIY for less than $50. So because we are in the middle of winter right now, it is really cold outside. I put down some towels in my living room and I was gonna do this DIY inside. It's just too cold. It would take the mortar literally days to dry outside. So I put some old towels down and planned to do this one indoors. So the plan here is to cover this whole entire pot with mortar, which is actually pretty much like concrete. It's usually used for adhering tile, but it acts just like concrete. So I got my mortar from Home Depot. They sell it in white and also gray. I initially went with the gray, but then decided to change my mind in the white. They also make it pre-mixed, but it can get pricey. So I am mixing my own. This bag of gray was about $5. And it's very simple. You just add your mortar into an old bucket and add some water. You can use a drill with the little spinner attachment. I don't know what it's called. With the little attachment, it goes right onto your drill. Very, very simple. Or you can mix it by hand. The drill just kind of helps. I think the drill is a little bit more fun to use, but that is just my opinion. So in the mortar, I'm going to mix my water in, and you want it to get about like a thick milkshake consistency. It's very, very easy to do. The drill wasn't getting like all of the corners, so I did end up kind of finishing it up by hand. This one was gray, and I did the first 2 coats with gray, and then I did the last coat or 2 with white. So the white ended up changing the color in the very end, but it's really preference. Whatever color you would like to do, that is completely up to you. So you are going to start just using a trowel or a spreader, whatever you want to call it, and literally you just spread it on. The first layer will go on really kind of spotty, but it really doesn't matter. It's all going to get covered anyway, so just do your best and cover as much as you can with the first layer. Also, if you notice, the mortar is like a really dark gray. As it dries, it does dry really, really light. I will show you guys here in a second. And the white is pretty much the same. It goes on like a little bit of a tinted white, and then as it dries more of a brighter white as well. Here is what it looks like as it starts drying, and I noticed when I was doing this inside, I put the little space heater on it to just kind of speed up the process. I'm super impatient, so the little space heater actually really, really helped to dry it out really fast. The first layer is really spotty. I'm just gonna warn you guys. Like, this thing kind of looks like a hot mess, but also in between the layers, I would put a piece of plastic wrap and kind of tape it all up, and then I would put the bucket outside in the cold. I'm not really sure if that helps, but I felt like it kind of preserved the mortar. You don't want it to harden. So the first coat is officially dry. It is a lot lighter than it went on. As you can see the difference, and the second coat is going on here. Very, very simple to do. I was a little bit nervous to do this in the living room, but it actually wasn't bad at all. All the mess stayed on the towels, and those towels are old anyway, so we were just able to toss them when we were done. So now that the second coat is dry, this is the third coat drying. And as you can see, the bottom kind of has that lip on it, so I wasn't really able to reach the bottom. So once this is completely dry, I am going to flip the whole thing over and work on the bottom. To work on the bottom, I flipped the whole thing upside down, and then I took those little like kind of rocky gravel pieces that were kind of like not really attached very good. I took off any loose pieces and just knocked them off with my hands, and then just started applying the mortar on there. Now, you don't want to put your mortar on your base. You want to make sure that it's all really flush so that it doesn't make your pot like not level or something, if you know what I mean. You want to not go past that kind of line, if that makes sense. Using my spreader, I also tried to make it blend really well with the rest of the pot, and I will show you guys a little trick that works really well to get all of those lines really smooth. And you can do this all over the pot and all over the bottom. So you take a little bit of water in like a Tupperware or cup or something, and you just spread the lines out, and it will smooth everything out. Once we are all done with the mortar, I am going to take some of this moss. You can get this at any local craft store. And I'm going to put this in my little blender or magic bullet we have. And I'm just going to mix this up really well so that it's almost like a fine powder. And this is what's going to give our pot a little bit of like texture and definition. It's really going to add some more interest to that pot. This will also give it that aged or kind of found look. It looks like there's moss growing up the side, and it's a really neat trick. I really didn't use that much. I pretty much did like maybe a bowl full. It really wasn't probably more than like a cup and a half or 2 cups maybe at the most. So I took a little bit more mortar, and this is the white mortar, by the way. I took some white mortar and mixed it with a little bit of dirt. I just threw a little bit of dirt in there to add some texture, and then I have my moss ready to go. And for this last coat, I am just going to smooth on this white and dirt mortar mix. And then once the mortar is still wet, I am going to go on with my moss and sprinkle this on the outside. After I sprinkle the moss on, I'm going to take a hand or rubber glove, whatever works best for you, and just pat this on and really make sure that that moss is kind of sticking on there. And this is kind of the fun part because it's all just preference, however much mortar you want. If you want it really thick, if you want it really spotty and sparse, you can really just do whatever you like. If you want the whole thing covered so that it doesn't have that spotty look, you can really make it whatever you want. But I kind of like the spotty look. It just looks really kind of aged and neat. So I am going to move this pot outside, and using my matte clear coat Rust-Oleum spray, I am going to clear coat all of that moss in, and this clear coat really does kind of darken that white as well, which I kind of liked. The white mortar does dry really bright, so I wanted something to bring down that bright white. And once everything was completely dry and ready to bring in, we brought this pot in, and I plan on putting my olive tree in here, and we just have a faux olive, so it's really lightweight. I will link this exact one on Amazon. I put a cardboard box in there to give it a little bit more height, and then stuffed it with all of these recyclable bags. It just kind of adds a little bit of support and filler. So the plan here is to top this planter off with the bags on the inside and then put moss all over the top. So I like using this sheet moss for my planters just for the top. It's really inexpensive and it just kind of finishes off that top. So I'm going to cut out the shape approximately the size of my planter in the top and then cut off any excess. So I'm gonna put a slit right in the top so I can wrap it around my tree and then just cut off the excess that doesn't fit and tuck everything in to finish it off and give it that nice little mossy look. After a little bit of tweaking and tucking and moving things around, it will finally look how I want it to look. And this pot, I think, turned out so beautiful. It has that rustic, found, aged stone planter look that I am seeing all over the place right now, and it just looks so pretty with this rug. I'm really, really happy with how it turned out, and I still cannot believe that it came from that very modern white pot. It is such a transformation, and there is no denying it is a huge, huge difference. So I really love how this turned out, and I hope that this inspired you guys to try a new DIY or something on a smaller scale if you're not up for the big planter. This was such a fun DIY to make, and even more fun to see in my living room every day, and it's something that I get to enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button, leave us a comment below, and give us a big thumbs up if you liked this video. Thank you guys again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.